This is KCAL TV, Norwalk, Los Angeles.
Here are the hour's top stories. President Bush, who's been holding out hope for a U.S.-Soviet arms treaty and a summit this summer, now appears to be downplaying expectations. Mr. Bush says the U.S. has given and given, and now it's time for Moscow to make some concessions. Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley is repeating his call for Police Chief Daryl Gates to resign. Bradley's endorsing a commission's finding that Gates should step down in the wake of the videotaped beating of a black motorist. It's still not known what caused the explosion that rocked a pipeline near Brule, Wisconsin, killing 3 workers and injuring 5 others Tuesday. And in sports, the American League has won its 4th straight All-Star game. In Toronto last night, Baltimore's Cal Ripken provided the big bat, hitting a 3-run homer to lead the AL over the NL by a 4-2 score. And those are the top stories.
If you're one of over 40 million Americans denied credit each year, First National Bank of Marin can get you your own Visa or MasterCard, regardless of your past credit history. Call now. Almost anyone can qualify, and approval is fast and easy.
I was denied credit time after time because of no credit history. Now I've got a genuine MasterCard of my own. I never knew it could be so easy.
I had money problems. Everything was going wrong. I called First National Bank and received my new Visa card. A no-risk $10 call helped me take the first step toward financial freedom.
I always used my husband's MasterCard. I never worried about establishing my own credit until after my divorce. I got the MasterCard I desperately needed from First National Bank.
If you're turned down for any reason, we'll refund the cost of this call. There's absolutely no risk. Call right now.
$10 per call. You must be 18.
Good morning, I'm Gordon Steinke. Leading the news this half hour, it's still not known what caused an explosion that rocked a pipeline in Wisconsin. 3 workers were killed, 5 others were injured. Jackie Renner reports.
From the air, you can glimpse the force of the explosion. Near the trench, a single piece of heavy equipment stands shattered and burned. Those who've surveyed the scene disagree on whether the dynamite was on that backhoe or had been unloaded when it went off. But there's no question the misplaced explosion was costly in human lives.
All of us out here connected with the project just feel very badly about the injuries and the loss of life. It's normally a safe working environment, and you just don't expect these things to happen.
Ambulances rushed 3 workmen to a Duluth hospital. 3 others were killed at the scene. The dynamite was supposed to blast the trench through these rocks. A natural gas pipeline for the Great Lakes Gas Transmission Company will be laid in the trench. Neighbors say the contractor building the line had been blasting for about a week without incident, and the company insists it is standard industry procedure.
Blasting is a routine procedure when you have rock and you've got to get a ditch dug.
The new pipeline is being constructed about 25 feet from the old line. Company officials say the current line isn't damaged and there's no threat to the public. Those who live near the project wouldn't have guessed that when they heard the blast.
The house shook. I was sitting on a chair and I almost fell off the chair. It kind of scared me too, I suppose, and it was such an awful loud boom.
An engineer for the contracting company says the crew had finished its planned dynamiting for the day, and the explosion happened about a half hour later. Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley is again calling for the resignation of controversial Police Chief Daryl Gates. An independent commission says not only Gates, but also the entire police commission should resign because of the beating of motorist Rodney King. After hearing the report from the Christopher Commission, the acting head of the police commission agreed to step down.
I believe that I can perform no greater service for this entire community of Los Angeles than by contributing toward the process of reform and healing embodied by the findings of the Independent Commission. I would therefore tender my resignation as a member of the Los Angeles Police Commission.
Other members of the Police Commission are also expected to offer their resignations. Mayor Bradley will nominate their replacements. Denver police have officially charged one of their own with the murders of 4 bank security guards. 54-year-old James King, a retired Denver police sergeant, faces a total of 15 charges, including 4 counts of first-degree murder. 4 unarmed guards at Denver's United Bank were shot to death during a bank robbery last month that netted more than $100,000. Denver District Attorney Norm Early says he believes there's enough evidence against King to bring about a conviction.
If there's a reasonable likelihood of conviction to a jury of 12 beyond a reasonable doubt, then we file. I analyze the evidence and I make a decision whether I believe there's a reasonable likelihood of convincing a jury of 12.
From the start, police believed the killer had inside knowledge of the bank because he was able to slip through an elaborate security system. As it turns out, King had worked as a part-time security guard at the bank for about a year. District Attorney Early says he's still trying to determine what impact Tuesday's decision by the Colorado Supreme Court overturning the state death penalty will have on the King case. The charges would normally be punishable by death or life in prison. The court struck down the state's death penalty because it automatically imposes a death sentence when factors in favor of and against a defendant are equal. Governor Roy Romer says he'll put the issue on the agenda for a special legislative session already scheduled for September. The verdict is guilty for several University of Texas fraternities facing criminal charges of hazing. The legal hammer also came down hard for 4 fraternity members who took part in a bizarre hazing ritual last fall. Gina Kuna has the story from Austin, Texas.
Convicted fraternity members left the Travis County courtroom with their heads high and their mouths shut.
Any regrets about what you did?
Today's convictions stem from an incident in this house last fall. That's when a Sigma Nu pledge endured a night of hazing that included being struck over 30 times and at one point being led around by the testicles with a claw hammer. In a plea bargain deal, Richard Asel, Matthew Dennis, Christopher Temple, and Todd Bowden are on probation, with 3 facing some jail time. Defense attorneys insist the boys admit to nothing.
You know, take 6 months of probation or spend thousands of dollars defending the case. It just made better sense to work the cases out and get on down the road.
In addition, 3 fraternities, Phi Gamma Delta, Pi Kappa Alpha, and Beta Theta Pi, were also convicted on separate hazing charges, each handed a $10,000 fine. The legal parade is a result of a long investigation by the county attorney's office. Ken Oden contends the slew of convictions is meant to send a message that his office is serious about hazing.
Most hazing rituals do not start out with the intention of hurting someone. But when you mix heavy peer pressure with heavy alcohol use, you can sometimes have unintended tragic results.
And an ongoing investigation of the incident also resulted in hazing charges Tuesday against 4 other Sigma Nu members. Out of Iraq this morning, an unconfirmed report of an assassination attempt on Saddam Hussein. An Iraqi opposition group says the Iraqi president escaped an attack that killed at least 3 of his escorts. The attack reportedly took place in Karbala, a holy Shiite Muslim city about 60 miles south of Baghdad. There's no way to verify the claim, and the group doesn't say when the alleged attack occurred. President Bush says he doesn't want to raise hopes that the U.S. and Soviet Union will reach a compromise this week on nuclear arms reductions. Speaking to reporters in Toronto last night, the president said it's up to the Soviets to make some concessions. Soviet Foreign Minister Alexander Besmertnyk and Secretary of State Baker will sit down in Washington Thursday to try to hammer out differences on the START treaty. Mr. Bush says he doesn't know if an agreement can be reached before he meets later this month in London with Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. Something South Africa has wanted for years could happen as early as today. It appears likely President Bush will lift the economic sanctions against Pretoria. The president says the sanctions law specifies they are to be lifted when certain conditions are met in South Africa. The necessary changes have now been made, and the president says the law is clear.
My view is when the 5 conditions have been met, that it will be better for all South Africans to keep the process of reform moving forward. I think it'll benefit their economy, and I think that'll mean more jobs for blacks. I've never been enthusiastic about sanctions in the first place, if you want to know the truth. But I think that de Klerk has done things that none of us would have dreamed possible.
Mr. Bush says he will make the final decision shortly, but anticipates he will lift the sanctions, quote, cheerfully. The Bush administration supports the renewal of most favored nation trade status with China. The Chinese government does too. So much so that it's hired a public relations firm to improve its image and persuade Congress to go along with no strings attached. Lawmakers in Washington today will again discuss the pros and cons of the issue. Here's Mary Miller.
China has enjoyed Most Favored Nation, or MFN, trade status since 1980, whereby its exports to the U.S. receive low, non-discriminatory tariff rates. Congress and the President have to renew the arrangement every year, but it hasn't happened without a fight since the Chinese government cracked down on pro-democracy demonstrators in Tiananmen Square 2 years ago. The House takes up the issue again today, debating two bills, one to renew MFN this year but withdraw it next year unless China adopts massive reforms, another bill to revoke MFN altogether. The President is adamant about unconditionally extending it. Lawmakers are split.
It is right to export the ideals of freedom and democracy to China. It is right to encourage Chinese students to come to the United States and for talented American students to go to China. It is wrong to isolate China if we hope to influence China.
Unless this Congress succeeds in making a meaningful step in the direction of imposing severe conditions on China, we will have failed, and failed in a historic sense.
It's hard to understand how closing down trade with China, how seeking, in effect, a protectionist approach will do anything except bolster the government in power against the democratic movements that we want to advance.
Mary Miller, Washington.
Also making news today on Capitol Hill, telephone trouble. Lawmakers want to know how more than 10 million phone lines died in the last 2 weeks. The House Operations Subcommittee will hold a hearing today. Computer glitches appear to be at the heart of the matter. The massive outages affected customers in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. The National Rifle Association is working hard to shoot down gun control legislation it says is in direct conflict with the constitutional right to bear arms. In a letter to senators, the NRA urged lawmakers to vote against a motion to curtail debate on the $3.3 billion anti-crime bill. Lawmakers will resume work on the measure today. Sources say President Bush is expected to give his approval tomorrow to a panel's call for shutting down 35 military facilities. Officials say Mr. Bush will announce that he's sending the recommendation to Congress, which will have 45 days to vote it up or down. And now, here's our first check on today's weather.
Africa. You have a front row seat. See a world which can often turn the hunter into the hunted. Presented for the first time on videotape, international award-winning cameraman John Barty captures the mystery and magic of Africa. This award-winning African wildlife video collection has already attracted wide interest from conservationists and nature lovers worldwide. Start your wildlife library now with the special limited-time offer. Buy 2 films and save. 1. The Crossover, real life in the wilds of Africa seen through the eyes of Shangaan hunters. Close encounters between man and Africa's major predators, the lion, the leopard, and the cheetah. 2. The Silent Hunter, 5 years in the making. John and tracker Elman Mlongo observe up close one of Africa's most elusive predators, the leopard. Buy these 2 one-hour films at a very special price, only $29.95 for both. They make a great gift. Call the number on your screen today.
Have you been laid off from your job or a victim of budget cuts? Are your bills piling up and you need a way to pay them off fast? Are you constantly overdrawn? Or has your credit been declined? Are you a victim of bad credit or bankruptcy? Have you been rejected for a loan? Have you been told by your bank that your loan request has been rejected because of bad credit, no credit history, or bankruptcy? Then stop this rejection and stop it now. Call the loan phone at 1-900-740-0440. The loan phone will change your life and financial future. We've helped thousands of people just like you get a loan, whatever the circumstances. Imagine lenders are just a phone call away. Get the loan approval and loan advice today for all your needs. Call 1-900-740-0440 and get your life
started in the right direction. By calling this number now, you will get vital information, including telephone numbers and addresses of companies willing to approve your loan. Call now. The call costs $10 and you must be 18 years or older to receive services. Call now and start enjoying the things that you've worked for. Call the nation's best provider of loans and services. Call the Loan Phone now.
And turning now to the nation's weather. Tuesday night was a great night for baseball. President Bush and Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney took in the All-Star game in Toronto. The weather was so nice, stadium workers removed the Sky Dome's top. The radar picture shows thunderstorms rolling across the Central Plains and the Mississippi Valley. More thunderstorms are cropping up along the Gulf Coast and Florida. The forecast calls for some additional moisture east and south of the Rockies. Areas along the Pacific Coast and over the Northeast will see dry and more pleasant weather. Albany should hit 79. Baltimore will be in the upper 80s. And on the West Coast, Los Angeles will have clear skies and 83 degrees. San Francisco will be cool at 63. Up north, Spokane will hit 83 under clear skies. Here's the forecast for where you are.
Business news, a fine first half for Wall Street. Wall Street profits soared above $2 billion in the first half of this year after a money-losing 1990. Two primary reasons for the securities industry's boom, a stock market rally and a flood of new corporate stock sales. But both have tailed off recently. And for that reason, analysts don't expect this year's second half to be nearly as successful. The stock market was mixed Tuesday. The Dow was down nearly 15 points. It'll open today at 2,947.23. Advancing stocks beat losers by a slim 53-issue margin, and volume was a moderate 151 million shares. Digital Equipment has announced it will lay off 800 workers from its sales force. It's part of a job-cutting program begun last year. As Bill Carter reports, yesterday's pink slips are only the beginning. Thousands more are still to come.
Digital Equipment Corporation is going through an industrial metamorphosis. Analysts predict Digital will lay off an estimated 9,000 employees worldwide during the coming months. That's on top of 10,000 they've already let go in the past year and a half. The reason? To remain competitive. According to a recent study in Fortune magazine, DEC was the last out of 13 major computer companies in revenue per employee. Apple was first with more than $451,000 per employee. DEC makes just over $105,000 per.
I think some layoffs are inevitable. Digital grew kind of fat and happy during the 80s, and now times are pretty lean. They've got to get rid of some of that fat.
Digital officials declined to be interviewed. A spokeswoman says the company has no approved plan for layoffs, but added future layoffs are not out of the question.
They're in a situation where their current product set is not as profitable as the competing products. So they're having to slim down, to get rid of workers, to cut costs in an effort to restore their profitability.
Consumers are demanding cheaper personal computers and open systems. So DEC is being forced to sell less profitable PCs and focus its strength in networking different computers together. All this means a serious profit squeeze that will reshape Digital in the coming years. I'm Bill Carter reporting.
In another sign of the banking industry's troubles, Citicorp has confirmed it may lay off as many as 17,000 people under its cost-cutting program. That's 10,000 more than previously announced. Citicorp says the job cuts will fall most heavily among middle managers and support staff, but it won't say what divisions or locations might be affected. The Leg's egg is walking. The nation's leading maker of pantyhose says it's trading its trademark plastic eggs in for environmentally friendly cardboard boxes. Leg's vice president for marketing says it will take millions of dollars to make the switch from the 21-year-old egg design. But he says pantyhose buyers won't be footing the bill for the change. And now checking the foreign markets, gold opened lower in London. And here's a look at how the markets in Tokyo fared.
I know he's out there, somewhere, the man of my dreams. I wonder if I'm ever going to get the chance to find him.
Join the National Singles Club, an exclusive national network of serious and selective singles committed to finding quality one-on-one relationships. Call 1-900-820-3111. We may already have the name and phone number of the man of your dreams. Call 1-900-820-3111. $3 per minute.
Call 976-4475. It's live. It's one-on-one. The new way to connect with beautiful women. It's personal, daring, and fun. Just call 976-4475. $2 per call plus toll. No charge per minute.
Have you got something weighing on your mind? A secret or confession you just gotta share? Call the new Confessions line at 1-900-896-0600 and tell it all. Or just listen in to what some other people have to share. True confessions, private sins, and secret fantasies. Call 1-900-896-0600 and hear it all. 1-900-896-0600. $2 the first minute, 95 cents each additional minute.
They're America's most popular love lines. 3 great ways to meet by phone, and you can try them right now for free. For ladies, some phone numbers, call 1-900-346-5200. Try it free. To meet guys and gals, call 1-900-346-5300. Try it free. For dream dates, call 1-900-346-5400. Try it free. Try all 3 for free. They're America's most popular $15 love lines with the first minute free. Write these numbers down and try them now. Try them all. Try them absolutely free. Adults only.
Kurt Gallup joins us now for a look at the sports. And Kurt, the American League has won its 4th straight All-Star game.
Yeah, up in your neck of the woods there, Toronto last night. A beautiful night, and it was a good game for the American League. After losing 26 of 29 All-Star games, including 11 straight, the American League has now won 5 of 6, including, as Gord said, 4 in a row for the first time since the 1940s. The 62nd edition of the Midsummer Classic last night at the Sky Dome. The National League would strike first in this one. In the top of the first, Bobby Bonilla, a hot shot off Jack Morris's foot. Tony Gwynn scores. Morris pitched into the second. He then went to a local hospital to have x-rays taken. They were negative. It was 1-0 for the NL. Bottom of the third, 2 on for the American League, and Cal Ripken unloads off Dennis Martinez. That one is deep to center. Ripken having a great year. He was the game's MVP. 12 diggers in the home run derby on Monday. Big night for Ripken. 3-1 American League. But Andre Dawson came right back in the 4th. Off Roger Clemens, Dawson with a towering blast to center. Get out the tape, 434 feet. First NL homer in 7 years. And that made it 3-2. History was made the 6th when 43-year-old Carlton Fisk lifted a bloop single into center field. Fisk becomes the oldest player to get a hit in an All-Star game, the record formerly held by Ted Williams at age 41. Pudge in the record books at 43. Another All-Star record, Dennis Eckersley with his 3rd save as he gets Brett Butler here to end it. The American League added 1 more run. They win their 4th in a row. The final from Toronto, 4-2. Bad news for the St. Louis Cardinals. First baseman Pedro Guerrero will be out up to 6 weeks with a fractured right leg. Guerrero suffered the injury in Sunday's win over the Cubs with a collision with catcher Tom Pagnazzi. He was the National League Player of the Week, batting .367. The Golden State Warriors president Dan Finane has told the New York Times that they looked at revising Chris Mullin's contract but decided against it in connection with a salary squabble over the Knicks center Patrick Ewing. The Knicks are reportedly considering tampering charges against the Warriors if Mullin's contract is higher than Ewing's, pushing the sought-after center out of the top 4 salaries in the league and into restricted free agency. Ewing's arbitration hearing is set for July 22nd. Well, a coalition of 4 bowls, 2 conferences, and Notre Dame may be completed this afternoon that could lead to a college football playoff format. The Cotton, Orange, and Sugar Bowls are looking to finalize an agreement with either the Fiesta or the Citrus Bowl. 3 of the 8 teams in those bowls would be conference champions, and it's hoped the matchups created could form a playoff. Finally, tennis fans may be flocking to Kansas City this fall when the Davis Cup semifinals match the USA against Germany. The matches will be played on red clay, a surface dominated by Americans Jim Courier and Andre Agassi in the French Open. On the other side of the net, they'll most likely find Wimbledon combatants Boris Becker and Michael Stich. And boy, those should be some great matches.
Bet it will. Yeah, okay, thank you, Kirk. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
I know he's out there, somewhere, the man of my dreams. I wonder if I'm ever going to get the chance to find him.
Join the National Singles Club, an exclusive national network of serious and selective singles committed to finding quality one-on-one relationships. Call 1-900-820-3111. We may already have the name and phone number of the man of your dreams. Call 1-900-820-3111. $3 per minute.
Get more bang for your buck at the Mickey Thompson Off-Road Grand Prix, July 20th, LA Coliseum. A special appearance by Mark and Brian from KLOS and CTV's American Gladiators live. Kids admissions only $1 when accompanied by an adult with coupons available free at your participating California Chevrolet and Geo dealers. Airborne Racing Thunder, July 20th, LA Coliseum. Brought to you by Legal Rights Defenders for work and car accidents, 1-800-THE-LAW, 2.
The big day is fast approaching. A total eclipse of the sun will occur on Thursday, and astronomers are especially excited because it'll occur directly over one of the best observatories in the world. Neil Rosenau explains how astronomers in Hawaii are gearing up for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
On the morning of July 11th, astronomers on Hawaii's Mauna Kea will train some of the world's most sophisticated telescopes on a spectacular total eclipse of the sun. The eclipse track goes directly over this world-renowned complex of observatories, and then a few hours later over the largest cities of Mexico and Central America.
A partial eclipse will begin about an hour before totality, and when the moon fully covers the sun's surface, its last rays are seen in a brilliant flash known as the diamond ring effect, followed by a string of beads referred to as Bailey's beads, as the last sunlight comes through valleys around the edge of the moon.
For astronomers, the masking of the sun's normally brilliant disk provides a rare opportunity to study the atmosphere that surrounds the sun, the corona.
Corona is millions of degrees hot, much hotter than the surface of the sun, and no one understands why that is. And one thought about why the corona is so hot is that it's heated by hundreds or thousands of tiny little explosions. If that's true, then by looking at the fine details in the corona and looking very quickly, and making a movie, basically, that has very short time intervals in it, we hope that we can see these little firecrackers going on.
At Mauna Kea, 9 experiments will be conducted, all at 14,000 feet, where atmospheric disturbances are minimized by the smooth flow of thin air over the mountain's gentle slopes. Together with huge optical telescopes are very large radio telescopes, instruments never before available for solar eclipse research.
So it's almost a perfect eclipse. It's as though it was scripted. If we had written down what we wanted in an eclipse, it would have come out just this way.
And what's the worst thing that could happen on July 11th?
Clouds. No, on a global scale, clouds. On a personal scale, forgetting to do something on the instrument so that you didn't take any data. There's a long history in eclipses where the overwhelming visual spectacle of totality, people forget to do simple things like taking off a lens cap.
This is Neil Rosenau reporting.
And that's the news for this half hour. I'm Gordon Steige. Thanks for joining us.
We're interested in getting your feedback on our news. To let us know what you think, please send us your suggestions and observations to Executive Producer, All News Channel, 3415 University Avenue, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, 55414.